the SoulKeeper mod from UWell. Let's have a look. Hey guys, Vick here, back with another review. Today we are looking at this. This is the SoulKeeper mod from UWell, a brand new tube unregulated mod from UWell. 21700, 2700 and 18650. It's got a very clever way of doing that I'll show you down low. It's an unregulated tube mod, so it's got your built-in safety features, short circuit protection, low voltage protection, all that kind of stuff, and it has a mech style fire button. So a lot of these regulated tubes, they actually have a button on the side, so it's not really like using a mech. This one has a proper mech style firing button at the bottom. Available in three colours: white, yellowy goldy colour and black. And it's a brass tube inside. So it's a brass tube inside, which helps with connectivity. It's got a little light here as well. That is a battery indicator that changes colour when it's time to change your batteries. And yeah, 25mm wide as well. So it will fit all of your favourite RDAs on here, no problem. Let's go down low, have a really nice look at this, then we'll come back up top for pros and cons. See you in a sec. Okay guys, here we are down low with the SoulKeeper mod from UWell. This is the sort of thing I would usually do a quick look of, but we've gone down to the table because it's actually got a few tricks up its sleeve, this thing. So I'll point those out as we go along. You can see the three colours on the box here: black, luminous, I believe they're calling it. It's like a goldy, yellowy type situation, and then there's a white one, which is the one we have here. So let's get into this box. Nothing else too crazy on there. Look, they've got grooves on the box. Look, they've got grooves on the box so you can get into it really easy. Genius, genius. Why hasn't every other vape company in the world thought of that? You get a manual. Now, we don't usually focus on manuals on this channel, as you know, but there's some good stuff in here. So the inner tube is brass, so that will help with your conductivity. The width is 25.6mm wide. Maximum wattage 110 watts. I don't know how it's doing that, or if it's really doing that, or that's an approximate based on the sag that you get at the highest or lowest ohms or whatever. But yeah, so if that stops at say 0.11, something like that, if that's the lowest you can go on it with the sag, perhaps the most you can ever get is 110 watts. I don't know how they get into that number, but I don't think it's a built-in limiter is what I'm saying. And then it works with 18650, 2700 and 21700, which I'll show you now. It's pretty clever how it does that. Little warning thing on the box as well. I like that it comes with this. Remember your battery safety, guys. You don't want a torn battery or anything like this. Make sure your battery is beautiful before you use it. So this is the actual mod inside. We'll lift this out. This is it in 18650 mode. So this is what it looks like. We've got a nice spring-loaded 510, 25mm wide on top, as we've said. And here is your button. Let's get a nice look at this. There you go. There's your button. You see it's a nice short clicky throw. Obviously it doesn't click when it's all put together. I'll show you that in a sec. But yeah, quite a funky thing. This little thing here is actually a light. So what I'll do is I'll unscrew the switch. Positive this way down. So negative on the button. This is 18650 going in. You can see it's got a bit of a rattle there. Now that doesn't happen once you've got it all nice and tight. So you screw this in. And this is it in 18650 mode. And you can see the light flashing there when I press it. And you can see now how the sort of button, it's a nice little throw. It's a nice little throw, no issues there. So that is 18650 mode. Now how the hell do you get a 21 in then? Well, really clever actually. You take this bit off and you take this bit off. This is your 510 bit. As you can see, it's got the big positive there. And you take your 18650 out and you put the 510 bit on the opposite side. You put that on there, you get your 21700 or 2700, whichever, and you tighten it in like this. and so you get this little extra bit on here, and as you can see, it's still lighting up. So there we go, and that is how you do it in 21700 mode or 2700 mode. Very clever idea. So basically they've got two sets of threading on this bottom tube. As I said before, and don't forget, the actual, all the threads and all the tubing and stuff, it's got the little safety bit in, but as you can see it's actually brass, which is no bad thing at all. Range of colours, as I've said as well. So there we go, that is 21700. I'll put my RDA back on so you can see it with that on as well. This is 24mm wide, so this is what a 24 looks like. There we go, that's what it looks like with a 24 on. Kind of a little lip there, but not too bad at all. There we go. So that's the Rocket RD8, by the way. I've just reviewed that. If you missed that one, check it out. But yeah, that's the SoulKeeper. Let's go back up top for pros and cons. See you in a sec. Okay guys, that was the SoulKeeper mod from UWell down low. Really interesting sort of kit, really. I don't know really where to start. I mean, first of all, you know, where is this aimed at in the market? Who is this aimed at? I would say that it's ideal for someone who hasn't had a mech before but is considering a mech. It's kind of like a perfect first mech, even though it's not a mech. And the reason I say that is it's got a little bit more safety features. It works and looks like a mech. You know, it's got the bottom firing button, it's got a traditional 510, and it's a tube shape and all that, exactly like a mech tube, but it's got those safety features built in. So it's got your short circuit protection if you've got a short with your coil. It tells you when it's time to change battery. It's got all those safety features in, so it's a slightly safer than a mech, if you like. It's giving you that unregulated vape, so you'll see how that feels, and if you like how that feels. So it's kind of like an interesting first mech if you're into that kind of thing. But I guess I don't know if an actual mech lover would like this, you know. And again, a variable wattage vapor, someone that likes the ability to adjust their wattage and keep a consistent exact wattage, I don't know if they're going to like this either. So I don't know exactly where it places in the market, but yeah, it's a definite option. If you've been put off these unregulated tube mods before because of the fire button position and the fact it's, you know, they're just on the side here, then it definitely solves that problem, because you've got a proper traditional fire button on here like you would on a mech. So that's a definite option. It does some things really, really well, this mod. I really like that the light is just there, just on the top. It's not in your face, it's not super flashy. You know, it's not on the side just flashing at you all the time. It's very subtle, but very clear. If you want to see it, you can see it, but you don't notice it when you're just generally looking at the mod. So I really like the light and the way the light works. I think it's really clever how you switch the button around to change batteries. So if you want to put in a bigger battery, you flip it around and you put the button on this side. If you want an 18650, which makes it shorter and neater, you can flip it around and put it on this side. So that's really cool as well. There's a few things that I'm not super in love with. It's 25mm wide, which I think is a really interesting choice. The majority of my favourite RDAs, certainly the majority of my favourite RDAs that I would use in this format, are actually 24mm wide. You know, your Dead Rabbits and things like that. Recurve Dual. A lot of these RDAs are actually 24mm wide, so it would have looked flusher and neater on with 24mm wide. So that's an interesting choice to go with that. I guess a lot of subtanks are 25 now. I mean, you can put a 24 on here and it looks okay. And you can fit a 25 on. So it depends on what your favourite RDAs are. 22mm wide Atties on here look a bit silly because there's such a big overhang, it's such a big, you know, ledge on it. But I don't know, it's an interesting choice to go 25. I'm not super pumped on that. And the other thing, this is kind of the only real proper negative, and I don't have an oscilloscope, I don't have the technology to prove it as such, but for me, I think it's firing slightly weak. I'll give it a bash now. If I took this Atty and this battery and stuck it in a mech, if I stuck it in the Arcless right now, it would be a stronger vape. It would be a harder hit. It would be more wattage. It's definitely slightly weaker vape. It doesn't hit as hard as a mech. I'm pretty confident in that. Like I say, I don't have an oscilloscope. I don't have all the silly stuff that people use to show these things. But I can just tell you from my personal opinion, my personal feel on this, that it's hitting slightly weaker than a mech. So, I mean, that's not a big deal. It's something to bear in mind. You can build a bit lower to adjust for the battery drop, for the battery sag, or whatever it is, voltage drop. You can adjust for that with a slightly lower ohm in your coil, but it's definitely something I've got to point out. It's definitely something I've noticed. It definitely hits weaker than a traditional mech, so do bear that in mind. Like I say, 25mm wide, range of colours available, white, black and goldy colour. I think overall it's pretty cool. I've not seen a mod like this before, so in terms of that, it's really, really cool. If you've always wanted to use a sub-tank on a tube style mod, but you've never found one suitable, and you agree with me that sub-tanks shouldn't necessarily go on tube mods, or on mechs I should say, then this is definitely a mod where the sub-tank can go on top, because it will tell you if there's a problem with the sub-tank, you know. It'll tell you if there's a short or there's a problem with a 510 pin or whatever. It'll flash and tell you that there's a problem. So you could definitely put a sub-tank on this mod, which is a nice feature as well. Overall, it's pretty good, it's pretty cool. It's not something I would necessarily dash out and buy, but if it's piqued your interest, then fair play. There's certainly nothing majorly wrong with it. I'm quite enjoying using it. I think it's very well made, very well put together. The other slight thing I've noticed, I'm going to point out, is the fire button feels better when it's on this side in 18650 mode. It's a flatter, smoother press when it's on 18650 mode than when it is on 21700 mode. Something about the way the threading is and it's stuck out, it means that the way it contacts the battery is slightly different when it's on this threading. So it's a smoother, nicer press on 18650 than it is on 21700. Again, it's just a slight, tiny thing just to bear in mind. Overall, I think it's pretty cool. It's certainly not a thumbs down or anything like that. It's a positive review. It's a pretty cool mod. Not something I would necessarily seek out, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.